Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Saturday Night Alive for the Global Peace Tribe. And this is our early Zoom room show. And I want to welcome all of our friends that are with us. Wow, we've already got 50 people with us. That's pretty cool. And most of you know by now, we love to see your name and where you're from. And I always love checking in and seeing who some of our initial friends are. So definitely, Lynn and Leaf, you were the first ones in there. Usually you're there along with Eleanor Joy and some of our other friends, John from Norfolk, Virginia. So thank you, everybody, for joining us. So continue to give us, where you're from. Zane from Minnesota. Welcome, Zane. So let us know. Wow, Frode from Norway. That's one of the things that's really fun is that more and more, this show started as kind of a local San Francisco Bay Area fundraising event. And then we kind of went national, and truly we've gone international. So it's wonderful that we have people from all over the world. I want to bring on my dear friend and our senior producer, Jan Kaplan, because we want to dedicate the first part of today's early Zoom Room show to honoring the legacy, the memory of Joanne Shenandoah. Again, Joanne was one of our favorite collaborators, musical artist, and she quite sadly passed away, I guess about 10 days ago now. And she was a big part of Saturday Night Live and worked very closely, especially with Jan. So Jan, I'm going to put the spotlight on you and just share with us a little bit about your experience of Joanne.
Well, I think anybody that had any contact with her, I felt so special and loved by her. And she was just one of those people that made everybody feel special and so alive. Her relationships were just so alive, and she was so full of creativity and just beauty. She brought so much beauty to the world. And, she came from a very long line of Iroquois leaders. And, she was groomed from a young age, playing musical instruments, being educated. She was a computer programmer in Washington, D.C. She bridged really so many different worlds. And I think one of the things that made her so special is that she was just brimming over with love, brimming over with creativity, and just such a generous spirit, and when we worked together on the honoring Indigenous women, that was the March 27th show, she just picked up the phone and called her friends, and she brought on Sasheen Littlefeather and Susan Maston and some, Mama Bear from, who's the matriarchal leader of her, Iroquois clan, and her niece, Michelle Shenandoah, who's publishes a magazine for Native American women called Matriation, Rematriation. So just, everything she did with style and grace. And so I guess we have, and Scott will post it in a few minutes, we have a memorial GoFundMe page that her daughter Leah put together, and it started out as the emergency fund to help pay for their medical bills. And believe me, they've got a lot of medical bills because these last 3 months were very, very difficult for the family. They flew, her husband George and daughter Lee and grandson, and out to the Mayo Clinic in Scottsdale, Arizona. And what many people might not have even known is that around 6-7 years ago, she was actually on a liver transplant list. And with organic food and intermittent fasting and, positive thinking and all sorts of, wonderful magic, she actually was able to get herself off that liver transplant list. But the last 3 months, she had a few accidents, and she accidentally drank something that she thought was lemon for her tea. And anyway, it's a long story, but, she succumbed, to, her health problems. So, she was well and thriving in March when we were putting our show together. We did our last interview with her in June, and the rest is her story. And
One of the things that I was very impressed with as I got to know her was the incredible diversity of musical ability and people that she collaborated with. She did folk, she did rock, she did spiritual, she did Native American, and she worked with so many people all over the world.
Mhm.
She was a true global troubadour who always brought things back to her indigenous people and honoring the indigenous people, but yet was this incredible collaborator. And even at the end of her life, she was working with Marvel, right? The most, mainstream entertainment company in the world right now probably is Marvel. And she was working with them on making sure that they would honor indigenous people properly in any portrayals. So she had an incredibly diverse and a very rich and full life. And of course, it's always sad and tragic when somebody leaves us that early, but she squeezed a lot in to those, I think it was 63 or 64 years. She definitely squeezed a lot in.
She was always multitasking, and she would FaceTime call me, and she'd be diapering her baby boy and then cooking dinner on the stove and, showing me her new outfit. And, she lived a life of what any of us could hope for just a part of, right?
I'm going to go to her GoFundMe one more time, and
Mhm.
I've put the link into the chat box. And so if people feel, please do donate. I see that 3 people just donated, so that may be some of our people. So your donations would really be appreciated. And thank you so much. And I'd love to just kind of close this out with, let's take a minute. Let's take a few breaths. Let's remember Joanne with absolute appreciation and maximum grace for the spirit of Joanne Shenandoah. Maximum grace for her family and friends that are left behind and missing her. Maximum grace that she may be fully honored for the incredible accomplishments that she had in her life, personally and professionally. Thank you, Joanne. Thank you.
What a gift.
Well, thank you, Jan, for your incredible collaboration and all that you do. And we are now going to switch gears a little bit to miracles. Tonight is all about living in the miracle zone. And I am really grateful that we get to have Marci Shimoff back. Marci's been on our show a couple times as a presenter, and we thought, God, she'd be a great person to do what we do with Jan. Jan is someone we collaborate with. And so Marci, who's like one of the busiest people on the planet, said, okay, I can do a collaboration with you guys, but we can't do it until late November, early December. So here we are. And I am going to bring on my friend Marci. I get to say she's my friend. I've known her for quite some time. Marci, thank you. You have put together an incredible show for tonight. Thank you so much.
Oh, Scott, well, thank you for the invitation. Thank you to you and Deborah. This is so much fun to get to do this. And I love the topic of living in the miracle zone. And I'm really thrilled to be here with you. And I think that we're joined now for the pre-show with Lisa Garr. Shall I introduce Lisa?
Absolutely.
There she is. There's
Hello.
fabulous and amazing Lisa Garr. Let me tell y'all a little bit about Lisa. Well, you probably don't need to know, but you probably already know, so you don't need to be informed. But Lisa is the host and the creator of The Aware Show, which is a transformational radio show about health and cutting edge science and personal growth and spirituality. And Lisa, I call her the Oprah, and many people call her the Oprah of the self-help transformational world. I first got to meet Lisa a number of years ago when I was on her show when Happy for No Reason came out. And I remember my publisher said to me, don't blow it. This is a big show. Be good. I was so nervous. So anyway,
Indeed.
and now I get to work with Lisa as she is my co-host on the Year of Miracles. And
I
we,
love it
my
so
sister-
much. It is so amazing. And you, my sister Marci, and Scott, I mean, what we're talking about tonight is one of my favorite topics because it's about living in this space of miracles. And once you start to have this conversation, once you really start to recognize that there are miracles that have occurred in your life and really honor them, more start to show up. So this is one of my favorite topics. Thank you, Marci. This is going to be fun.
So I want to open up to our Zoom room audience. Any thoughts, comments, or questions you have about miracles? And I'll kind of scan through and pass those on to Lisa and to Marci. And I want to start by just acknowledging it's wonderful when we are in that positive state where the miracles are happening. But let's start off with what happens. How would either of you support someone who is dealing with a lot of hard stuff and maybe is even going through an existential crisis? I mean, today I was on the phone with somebody who said, I'm mad at God, because of the hard stuff going on with them. So let's start there. How would you support, or how do you support people that are going through a hard time to get back into the miracle zone?
Well, Scott, these days we need more of the miracle zone because there are a lot of people going through a lot of hard things. And, the first thing that I tell people is we have to honor where we are. If we're in grief, you were just speaking about this wonderful woman who's passed away. If we're in grief, we need to honor the grief. We need to honor all that's going on. And also stay open to the idea that, and the concept that we live in an energetic field where we can always open to the miraculous, no matter what's going on in our life. And that we start with baby steps. That is the most important thing. I love somebody just wrote into the chat, can miracles be the new normal? That is the idea. Love that miracles are the new normal. I absolutely believe that. And I think that what's really important is surrounding ourselves with like-minded people who get that living in the miracle zone is something that's not only possible, but it's something that should be the new normal.
Absolutely. I'll just dovetail on that. I was reminded of this quote the other day from one of my favorites, Wayne Dyer, and he said, when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. And when you start to really think about that concept and you apply that to even the difficult and the challenging things in life, and we've all been there, and these last couple of years have definitely been wrought with difficulty, but look at the miracles that have come through and the way. And sometimes those miracles, if you just look at it differently, and usually it's in hindsight, you say, wow, if that wouldn't have happened, then this wouldn't have happened, and then I wouldn't be here, and then that person wouldn't have come into my life, or I couldn't have changed that person's life. And you really look back and it shows up. If you look at it through those lenses, through those little miracle goggles we'll have, it really starts to change. It really, truly does. It's a beautiful exercise.
Beautiful. I want to read a couple of comments and then I've got another question for you. So Percy writes, we don't need a reason to feel good or positive. These are natural states. It's the stress and the negativity that's unnatural.
Can I comment on that, Scott?
Yeah, please do.
I wrote a book called Happy for No Reason. And that's exactly what I mean, is that our happiness, our sense of the miraculous is not based on our circumstances. It's actually an inner state that we develop, and that, we don't need a reason for it. And that's what the miracle zone is not needing a reason to be there.
So, continuing with how to help people when they're in a tough spot, Marci and Lisa. So acknowledge where they're at. What's a first step? Is gratitude usually where you direct people first?
I love gratitude. There's the saying, what you appreciate appreciates. We've all heard that. And I've certainly seen that gratitude is the fast track to getting yourself in the miracle zone. You know, gratitude for whatever. We all have something to be grateful for. I have a glass of water here. How fabulous is that? That I didn't have to walk 2 miles down to a river and get some water. And so what are we grateful for in this moment? And the research shows about gratitude that it's wonderful to be on the lookout for what we're grateful for, but that we actually need to take it in and savor it for at least 20 seconds. It doesn't create new neural pathways in the brain unless we've digested it for 20 seconds or more. It doesn't take anywhere near that amount of time for the negative to make an impression, but for the positive, for the gratitude, we want to really savor it.
Along the lines with what you said earlier, Mars, is about that acknowledgement of where you are. And that is also an amazing first step, Scott, because that acknowledgement of just that moment of disappointment or frustration or confusion or whatever it is gives it permission to be in the space. You've given yourself permission to say, this is where I'm at right now. And going from there all the way to, bliss takes steps. It takes steps along the way. So I've always said that awareness is 80% of the solution. You get just this space and the room to acknowledge this is happening. Grief, this is happening. And you slowly move through it to that space of the gratitude that Marci was talking about. And you get there every day by the acknowledgement. We all know what it means to deny that. When you deny it, it adds it grows. It adds this. I say to my mom, who's still grieving my father in a huge way, that grief is like a stale river. It's like a river where it just pools and then algae grows and it gets stuck and then it builds up a dam. If you release that grief and allow it to keep flowing through your life, then the water starts to cleanse the stream. And that acknowledgement of where we are and where we're at allows the water to clear the stream of the disappointment, of the grief, of the upset. And then you slowly get to the place of gratitude. And that's where you see the miracles start to occur.
Beautiful.
From what we've seen.
So here's another question for both of you. One of the things that we like to do in this little chat room, in this early Zoom room, this is where we have kind of our loyal fans and friends, is to kind of go a little bit personal. And I'm wondering if either of you would be willing to share a miracle in your life that really, that comes to mind, an example of a miracle in your life. And maybe again, at a time when you weren't looking for it, expecting it, and that it really helped to transform things for you. Either of you?
I'd be happy to share and Scott, you were there for part of this story. It's a little bit of a story, but I was, I think 39 or 40, and I had wanted to get married, wanted to meet a life partner. And I had wonderful relationships, but none of them were the one. And I went to a man in India, a nadi leaf reader. I don't know if you're familiar with nadi leaf readers. They're leaves written on palm tree leaves that have been written on 2,000 years ago or more, 4,000 years ago. And he read my nadi leaf and he said that in the next 3 months, I'd meet 3 men back to back. None of them were my partners. They'd all be foreign and I shouldn't get deeply involved. They weren't the right guy, but the right guy would come along in the next 6 to 9 months. And he described him to me. He said he'd be born and raised in Italy. He'd have dark hair. He'd be working as a therapist. He would love dance, music, and art. And he would be 6 years younger than I am. And I said, that's impossible. That's ridiculous. I never date younger men. I don't like younger men. And he said, I can't help it. He's your destiny. Well, sure enough, over the next few months, I met 3 foreign men back to back, which was weird because I'd go years between meeting interesting men. None of them were it. I remembered his advice and I let the whole thing go. I completely forgot about it. I was at the Omega Institute for a conference of a gathering of the shamans in 1999. I pulled into the parking lot and for those of you who've been at Omega Institute, big big acreage and a gravel parking lot. I pull in, and the car next to me, there's a woman getting into the car next to me, and I'd met her a year earlier at Omega. And as I'm getting out of my car, I said, Kathleen, how are you doing? She said, oh my God, Marci, so good to see you. And we got to talking. She said, do you still want to meet a man? I said, yes. She goes, well, there was a man on my course that I just took, and I think he's extending. And do you like big macho guys? And I said, yes. She said, he's not that. I said, oh, And then she said, do you like older men? I said, yes. She said, he's not that. And I said, oh, I really don't think I want to meet him. And just as I say that, she turns to the other side of the parking lot. We turn, and there, way across the other end of the parking lot, he's walking by. And she goes, oh my God, there he is. And I look over, and I can't even see his face. I just see his energy. And I said, that's him. I have to meet him. And she walks me over to him, and she says to him, Sergio, this is my friend Marci. You have to teach her the dance. They had just come off of a 5-rhythm dance course. Before he says hello, he takes me in his arms. He waltzes me around the parking lot, and I look at his eyes and I go, I know this is the one. Now, I had forgotten about that reading until a couple months into our relationship, and we were having a rough patch. And I thought, oh my God, I got to go back to that reading. And I read it, and every single word of it was true. He is born and raised in Italy, has dark hair, is a therapist, loves dance music and art, and is 6 years younger than I am. How on earth could that have been written on a palm leaf of a tree thousands and thousands of years ago? Living in America.
That's amazing.
And he's here right now.
And he's right there.
He is.
We love Sergio. Yay.
Now we have to see Sergio.
There he is. Hey, Sergio. No, so while with Sergio there, if you can pop in, what's your memory, Sergio, of that moment on the gravel parking lot?
It's pretty much how she described it. There was an immediate sense of magic and flow that activated between us. And I just recognized her as, oh my God, I know this woman. And so I just took her in my arms and danced her around the parking lot. And then
the rest is history. 22 years ago.
Who does that, by the way? Just takes this stranger and starts dancing around a party. Just the full romantic in you is just so awesome, Sergio. I love that.
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. And I'm glad that we had a Sergio sighting.
Yeah.
You never know what's going to happen on Saturday
That's
Night
great.
Live. We actually had a Sergio sighting. Lisa, I'm popping the spotlight onto you. What miracle story do you want to share?
It's actually also around relationship, oddly enough, which is, I just celebrated my 20th year anniversary with my husband, and he and I met mountain biking 20 plus years ago, and we just huge mountain biking fans, and we love mountain biking. And there was a race that we did together we'd been racing kind of for a long time, and you just kind of get into mountain bike racing when you do it. It's kind of fun. And there was one race that did not end very well for me. Prior to the race, we had broken up. I was dating John, and we had broken up. And I was just too busy. It wasn't a priority for me. I was growing a company. It was like not super high on my list. Oh my God, he just walked in the room. Okay, so I'm just telling the story, honey. So, and I didn't plan this. So, not doing great. And then I did this race, and he and I did this race together, and it was a double points race, and it was really hot, 108 degrees, 5,000 feet of climbing, really difficult race. And I passed out right before the finish line, at the very top of this hill. And I totally depleted my body, unfortunately. And I wound up, falling down at the bottom of this hill and couldn't get back on my bike. My body was totally failing. It was going in complete failure. Another biker saw me, called the medics, a helicopter comes, and John comes riding up the hill to say, that's my ex-girlfriend. I don't even know if he said that at the time, but he wound up being the one that was the advocate for me, that met the helicopter at the hospital, helped me recover. My memory was gone. Short-term memory, long-term memory, voice, all of that I had lost from a very tragic injury that I had at the time. And he was there for me every step of the way. And we got married 2 years after that incident, right? There's honey.
We're having a John sighting.
Sighting.
Come
John
on,
sighting.
John. Oh, look at that guy. There he is. Hey, John.
We just had a Sergio sighting. Now we have a John sighting.
I love this.
Boy,
Our
I
honeys
got
are
all
here.
dressed up for it too. I'm sorry.
The men of miracles.
This is right, living in the miracle zone. We were just talking about our miracles in our lives.
Oh,
This
Totally a
this
miracle.
guy.
Thank you,
Amazing.
John, for taking such good care of Lisa so she can do all the wonderful things that she does.
Oh,
that's one of my purposes in the world.
oh. See what I mean?
Yeah.
See the Corn Brothers there too. I think you know those guys.
Beautiful.
I think I know.
Oh,
well, all right.
Great to see you. That's awesome. That's awesome. I'm going to read a couple of comments and then get us ready for Facebook. And I want to let people know that what we're going to do tonight at the end of the show is share any miracle stories. So if you have any miracle stories you want to share, let me know throughout the show. Maybe pop it in the chat or Q&A. I'm going to put the spotlight on Dr. and Mrs. Future for a moment. Marci, I'm going to put the spotlight on you because you wanted to acknowledge the people who made the promo video. And everybody, you guys see our promo videos? This is Dr. and Mrs. Future. They do all of our promo videos and they do a fabulous job.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Those videos rock. You guys are awesome. Truly.
Thank you.
Thank you. We had some great inspiring material to work with you too. So thank you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
This show brings together such positive energy. It's a joy to try and help visualize it with the cinematic language.
And if we can help normalize miracles, we'll all have a better reality.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
Amen.
We're living in
Yeah.
the miracle zone.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
It's really
Yeah. More
Thank
company.
you, oh, go ahead. Go ahead,
Thank
Dr.
you.
Future. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much, you guys.
Yeah.
And just a reminder that when Deborah puts the link to our promo video every week, you'll be getting the link for the show for next week. Please do share it with people. You know, these promo videos are about 3 minutes long. They're fantastic. And they're a great way to really promote what's going on. Marci, we've only got a couple minutes left, but I'd love for you to tell us a little bit about, and I know you're going to tell us more later on in the show, but since we just saw Lisa, and we're going to meet Dr. Mortar, Dr. Sue, tell us about your year of miracles.
Well, this program started about 9 years ago when I realized that there was a way that people could put themselves in the miracle zone. There were actually things that we can do to put ourselves in the miracle zone. And it's a year-long program about how to live in the miracle zone in every area of your life, in your health, in your relationships. We take a month for each kind of area of life: self-love, health, relationships, success, money. And we've had incredible miracles happen. This year we had over 5,000 people in the year-long program from 87 countries. And it just keeps growing. And really, it's about being in the vortex of miracles for an entire year. And I know a lot of our Year of Miracles people, I've already seen you making comments. You're here. It's great to have you all here. And Dr. Sue Mortar and Lisa and I co-run the program. And it's just really an extraordinary experience to get to be in this energetic space of miracles. I'm so grateful for everybody who's part of it, because it's a love fest.
It is. And so Deborah Giusti has been putting the link into the chat box, but you can get all the information about it by going to youryearofmiracles.com.
And I'll just mention one quick thing, because it really is. I get to read the Facebook posts every month about the miracles people are creating in their lives, and it's like a miracles incubator. Once you start to hear people's stories of what they're creating, with me reuniting with loved ones and finding money and getting jobs, and it is extraordinary. It blows my mind every time I read these posts. So I have to say, the program it's a beautiful love fest, as you say, Mars, to be a part of. Yep. I love it.
Well, thank you, ladies, for being with us. And we're going to hear a lot more from both of you later on tonight and throughout the evening, because Marci's our co-host. And now I need to get us going for Facebook. So give me a minute to take care of all of that.